Long ago in a small town in England, there lived a young boy named Ayaan. Ayaan was bright and full of potential, but he had one big weakness: he always wasted his time. Whenever someone asked him to study, to help with work, or to do something useful, he would always say, "I'll do it tomorrow. There is plenty of time." He spent most of his days on unimportant things, playing games, chatting with friends, and sleeping late. Deep inside, he thought that life was very long, and that one day he would get serious. But that one day never came. His parents and friends worried about him, but he never listened. Finally, his old teacher, Mr. Harris, who was loved and respected by everyone in the town, decided to teach him a lesson in a different way. One morning, he invited Ayaan to his home and placed a big empty glass jar on the table. Ayaan looked at it with confusion and asked, "Sir, what is this for?" Mr. Harris simply smiled and began his demonstration. First, he took some large stones and carefully placed them inside the jar until it was full. Then he asked Ayaan, "Tell me, is the jar full?" Ayaan looked at the stones and replied, "Yes, sir, it is full." Mr. Harris shook his head, smiled again, and picked up a box of small pebbles. He poured them into the jar, and the pebbles rolled into the empty spaces between the big stones. Once again, he asked, "Now is the jar full?" Ayaan laughed and said, "Yes, this time it must be full." But the teacher was not finished yet. Next, Mr. Harris took a handful of sand and gently poured it into the jar. The fine grains slipped through the tiny gaps and filled every remaining space. "Now," he asked with a calm voice. Ayaan nodded and said, "Yes, sir. Now it is definitely full." But once more, the teacher proved him wrong. He took a jug of water and slowly poured it into the jar until the liquid reached the top. The jar was now truly full, and Ayaan stared at it in surprise. He had no idea what lesson his teacher was trying to teach. Mr. Harris looked at him and said softly, "Ayaan, this jar is just like your life. The big stones represent the most important things: your time, your health, your family, your dreams, and your education. The pebbles are the smaller things such as your job, your house, or your hobbies. The sand represents all the little distractions and pleasures like social media, games, gossip, and wasting time. And the water represents the extra things that don't really matter but still take up your attention." He paused for a moment and then continued, "If you fill your jar first with sand or water, there will be no room left for the big stones. In the same way, if you spend your life on unimportant things, you will never have space for what truly matters. But if you focus on the big stones first, the most valuable parts of life, then the smaller things can always fit around them." Ayaan felt silent. For the first time in his life, he understood that he was wasting his precious time. He thought about how many hours he had lost on useless activities, while ignoring his studies, his dreams, and even his family. That day changed his heart. From that moment on, Ayaan made a promise to himself. He began to use his time wisely. Every morning he asked himself, "What are my big stones today? What are the important things I must focus on?" He started studying hard, helping his family, and working on his long-term goals. He still had time to play and relax, but he never let the small distractions take control of his life again. Years later, Ayaan became a successful man. He achieved his dreams, helped his family live a better life, and was respected in his community. Whenever people asked him the secret of his success, He always remembered the jar and said, "The secret is to know your big stones. Respect your time and never waste it on meaningless things." Moral of the story: time is like that jar. If you waste it on small things first, you will never have space for what is truly important. But if you start with the big stones, your time, your health, your family, your dreams, then everything else will fit. Remember, time once lost can never be found again. So value every moment, because every tick of the clock is your life passing by.